I met Miguel in Tijuana sometime in the late 1980s, I think. We were in kindergarten together, so the photos go a bit further back than my memory does. We were in school together for the next 9 years. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., cops and robbers, birthday parties, school plays, PE, Christmas pageants, first crushes, soccer at recess, walking home from school every day, sleepovers, puberty, voices cracking. 9 years. We saw each other around in high school, but we were in different crowds now. He was in the morning shift, and I had landed in the much-hated but quite comfortable midday shift. I was on my own trip now, and none of my old friends were invited. It was music that brought us back together. We were both screwed out of concert tickets for a Tool and King Crimson show. We were 16. We could not imagine a greater tragedy. We made plans to hang out on the day of the show. I went to his house and discovered just how much we'd grown alike during the years we'd stopped hanging out. We'd started finding out more about music and that beautiful, all-consuming passion of discovering all of its genealogies at a time when word of mouth was more reliable than the internet. We also realized we'd both been discovering new worlds, interest in philosophy, psychology, religion, mysticism. There was a secret key to be found, and I just found a partner. In my mind, that was the day our true friendship was born. We had been friends up to now because life had randomly put us together. But now we wanted to be friends because of who we were, because of who we wanted to be. It was like finding out you could actually be best friends with a family member. Over the next couple of years, we were enrolled in the same community college in San Diego. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., carpool across the border, go to class together, take the bus to the same shitty telemarketing job, band practice, weekends, bars, crushes, concerts, vacations, relationships, New Year's, gigs, heartbreak. And there was always extra time to climb out of my window and enjoy a heart-to-heart with a couple of beers on my roof. And, like a brother, sometimes he really annoys me. This is rich, chocolatey goodness.
I can hear something now.
I've been listening to you this whole time.
And then you came in like with an effect or something.
Oh no, does it have that stupid robot voice?
Yeah, I did at the beginning when you came in. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh Jesus, you're screaming.
I'll try not to scream. Yeah, my thing is louder than yours.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to reduce my enthusiasm.
Yeah, or just the volume on your microphone. Do you have that? All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We've kind of already... You fucked up so much already that I don't
know. This is a fine show, man. This is a fine show.
You've broken every rule before we even started.
So what's this about? What am I doing?
First of all, yeah, another rule. There's a lot of rules, isn't there? Yeah.
So what's the next rule?
No Spanish.
God damn it.
We don't want to offend anybody. It's tricky times. Well, the show already started, so...
What? This is the show already? Jesus Christ.
Welcome. What's up? Are you drinking something?
Yes, I am. I'm drinking aquí café de olla that I got from the local Mexican place around here and some agua.
Can you say that in English?
Drinking coffee.
All right, thanks. That's it.
So how many of these shows have you done already so far?
I can't tell you.
Jesus. So many rules, so much like secrecy behind this.
Did you read the second page of the rules? Don't ask me about the show.
There was a second page?
No, it's because these are the episodes that I'm recording before anything gets posted.
Okay.
So I don't know which one's gonna go first, or I might just throw this episode away. So
this might be the first one. I think this is the surefire hit.
Oh, we'll see. Yeah, I'm not very good at starting. This
You're a great host. Fantastic. This is. Woo.
It's all right. I just started. I just opened a beer, and it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
Okay. All right. I hope so.
Jesus, I was pretty hungover. Sucks.
No, actually, yeah, me too. I was actually pretty hungover. Like right now, I just got out of the shower. I'm feeling a little bit better. The coffee's helping. But yeah. All right. So like this is the perfect mood to catch up.
Yeah, shit. Well, you should get a beer, but it's too early for you.
Yeah, a little bit. Ike, what did you do last night?
So there's a friend who just finished his PhD, and I just wanted to torture myself and go celebrate somebody else's achievements.
Did this friend go too? Was he out and about with you too, or you were just out drinking?
It was just me drinking, complaining about him. That fucker finished his PhD.
This motherfucker.
No, he's this American dude that I met here. Pretty cool guy. Who I've kind of accidentally followed in his path because I've had all the same jobs that he has had. Like, so I'm always like 2 positions behind. So he'll have a job, then he can't have it anymore because you're not allowed to keep him for a certain amount of time. He'll quit, and then somebody else will get hired, and then I'll come after that because we all keep passing the information along.
Does that mean that so then you're going to be getting the PhD soon too? If you're like 2 steps behind?
In 2 years, according to that theory.
Good. Because you're working on your PhD, no?
Yeah. I think about it a lot.
All right, that's a step. That's part of the process.
And no. I'm working on it. I'm working more than before, less than I would like to, but that seems to be what everybody says. But then in your head, when you hear somebody else say that, you say, "Yeah, but you don't know how bad I'm doing it." But I think everybody feels that,
right?
But I really think they don't know how bad I'm doing it. But I don't know.
And so you were out celebrating this guy's PhD, and then you got drunk.
Yeah. And then I came home, and I had more beer, and woke up feeling pretty shitty, mostly because I smoked a lot. I had managed to stop smoking. I was doing very good.
Really? Cool.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I allowed myself. It was like, fuck, I love smoking. I just enjoy it when I'm drinking. And I started smoking again when I drink. And, it's kind of like the ant before winter time. It's like, all right, we're drinking. Let's get all the tobacco inside.
Let's get it all in.
Get it all in.
We can.
Yeah.
Well, how when you say you stopped smoking, how for how long?
I don't know, a couple months.
All right, good, cool. That's a start.
That's a start. Fuck you. I don't know.
Fucking your lungs are probably super black already, man. Your blood too.
Yeah. I like smoking.
Yeah. Good.
Because I gave myself some time. So, anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what made me feel a lot shittier this morning because I hadn't had one of those hangovers with a lot of smoking included.
So you were saying, wait. So you're working from home. What do you do again? What are you working? I think last time you told me you were doing something about translating, or no, teaching English, right, or something to like a bunch of like business people.
Yeah, I quit.
Yes.
It felt so fucking good.
Good, congrats.
Yeah, and I started a new job.
Doing what?
Yeah, I was waiting for you to ask me. I can't tell you.
Well, it sounds like a great job.
Well, I can't. We have to start the show. We haven't started the show, and so just before we get started, do you know the name of this show, right?
I actually do not. I don't think I know the name of the
Son
show.
of a bitch. It's like rule number 1, dude. All right. So the name of the show is Rich Chocolaty Goodness. At the end of the show, I'm gonna have you say that you're gonna sign off,
Cool.
and then everybody who's ever done the show is gonna have their voice superimposed on yours. And each episode we'll have
Damn.
more and more voices until I'll have all of my friends saying Rich Chocolaty Goodness at the same time. All right. So so now we're gonna start the show. We have
I can already see the show becoming a hit.
Yeah.
This is gonna go viral.
Yeah. Speaking of viral, well, how's your cat doing?
My cat Esteban is fine. He's the reason why I was delayed a little bit this morning. He's okay. He's been having some urinating problems, but that was it. Nothing to worry about. Just eats a specific diet. Thanks for asking.
All right.
Ass.
Urinating problems?
Pissing problems. Yeah.
Well, I know, but what kind of does he just walk around with a constant leak or what?
No, that would be probably the best choice for him right now. No, he can't pee that much. So he's like going to the bathroom and like only a little bit drops come out, and then he's like frustrated.
As a psychologist, what's your first impression?
Of that was that he's having pissing problems and that he's frustrated about it. I think, and I feel
Because if I came to you and I told you that,
I would think it's something to do with your mom, probably. some kind of repressed childhood something.
yeah. I'm gonna stop. It's gonna stop that right in its tracks. All right, so
is the show gonna start now?
Yeah. So no, the show started a long time ago.
What?
But it's still fun to start it in the middle or something like that. So this helps me do the sound checks, and it's also fun. It pumps up the audience. It gets the juices going. So I'm gonna say Rich Chocolaty Goodness, and I'm gonna ask you to repeat it the second that I stop, and then the second that you stop, I'm gonna say it again, and we're gonna keep going on and on.
Okay.
For like 45 minutes, and that's the show.
I think it sounds about
No, but this helps me.
I'd listen to that.
This helps me with the. Well, that's none of your business.
Rich Chocolaty Goodness. What? Was I supposed to say it now?
I like good enthusiasm. All right, yeah. So just one after the other. Rich Chocolaty Goodness.
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 All right. So on that down note, thanks a lot. We can start. All right. What's up?
Yo. What do you want to talk about then?
Well, welcome to the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this.
Anything for you.
Well, what have you been up to? I mean, this thing's just an excuse to catch up. It's just kind of awkward because we know we're recording, but the point is still just
very awkward.
What's going on with you?
Well, all right. So what I've been working on throughout, the last been year and a half out here now, back in New York, working, doing my postdoc here at Columbia. Still doing my training as a neuropsychologist, doing both clinical work and research. I've been doing Alzheimer's disease research and been working on that for like a while now. And, just still, it's a lot of work. I've been busy pretty much every day. Just working out towards like, what's the next steps? Like, what am I doing next? And the plan is to probably stay there for a little bit longer. I'm going to be applying to some grants to try to stay, keep doing research and seeing patients and all that good stuff.
Would you stay as a postdoc, or can you, like, how long can you stay as it?
So the idea, technically, yeah, because I'm a postdoc right now, and I have my own funding right now. Like, I have grants that are paying like I guess my position, and that's covered like that can go I think up to like 3 more years or something. And so technically I can remain a postdoc like that for a while, but I'll be applying so for a K grant. And so, here, through the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, there's a bunch of different grant mechanisms. And so the one that I'll be applying through is called a K grant. I think people call it like a kangaroo grant because it's supposed to help in your pathway to independence. And the way it works is supposed to be 5 years. The first 2 years, you're technically still a postdoc because it's something to help you move from being a postdoc to a full-on independent scientist, which are the last 3 years of the grant. And so technically, if I get that grant, I'll be a postdoc for I guess 2 more years, but then transitioning over to a faculty position somewhere, either here if they want to keep me, or somewhere else. If I can, because I can at that point I can take the grant with me somewhere else.
Right, and you're thinking you want to stay there?
Honestly, yeah. I love New York. I love where I'm at right now, work-wise. I think it's a great place. I love Columbia. I love the lab. Everybody that I work with, it's fantastic, and just the resources that we have like available to us. There's just a bunch of stuff to do. Like I don't see, running out of opportunities to do some cool stuff there. So if I could, I wouldn't mind staying. Like it would just depend. And like I don't know where I'll be like in what, like that would be like in 3 years from now, I guess. Like thinking, like where do I want to be life wise? Like do I want to still be living in New York? Do I would I rather just go somewhere else if the cost of living is a little bit better? What's my salary going to be like? All things equal, I would love to stay here for sure. And also if I can keep up my clinical work. That's what I love about here at Columbia, because it's the medical center. So I'm also seeing patients, and there's like a big need, for like a bilingual, Spanish English neuropsychologist, because like the hospital is in the Heights, and that's primarily the Dominican community. So everybody speaks Spanish, and there really isn't currently a Spanish speaking neuropsychologist in the neurology service. And so it's been cool to kind of help fill that need, and I'd love to keep doing it.
Sounds like a great sitcom.
Yes.
In the Heights. Llegó el doctor.
I was thinking like a sitcom crossed like with probably Grey's Anatomy. That has to have like a little bit of drama in there, like hospital setting type drama. Pero con el doctor Arce.
That's cool, because I remember a long time ago, we were talking about New York, and you were in that middle position where you were just telling me how the city could be exhausting, and you weren't sure if you were going to stay or going to start trying to figure out a way out.
I don't remember any of that. That doesn't sound like me.
Yeah, let's see. You were crying on the floor.
Oh, that time.
Listening to John Mayer. I think that's how I remember it.
I think that was like last week. No shit.
No, it was a long time ago. I think you had been in the city maybe for like 3 years at the most.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, it was. It's a tough city, but it's fun. So I feel I'm at a point, that I think I was able to then eventually get a nice groove with the city, and not necessarily. I feel like balanced now. Like, no, I love it here. This is the best city in the world.
Well, I don't know.
It is.
Paris is pretty cool.
That is all right. When are you coming back? When are you going to come back to visit, man?
I don't know, man. I really don't want to go. No, I mean, I want to see everybody, but I really don't want to go visit. There's so much shit to do here. Maybe New York. New York makes a bit more sense because it's quicker.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't mean go visit Tijuana.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, I want to go there just so I could go eat.
Yeah, man. Do you get any good tacos out there?
Only the ones I make.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been getting pretty good at cooking Mexican food. But no, I don't know. Maybe, see, that's the thing. If we do a trip over there, it's just one destination. So, would I go to New York or would I go to Yucatan? I would much rather go to Yucatan.
Yeah, no, totally. Go to Yucatan. But can't you stop by here or something and like on your way to Yucatan?
I think there's direct flights Paris to Cancun. I don't know. I mean, it's
Freaking
still
Paris.
it's not like a plan I have, but Elise really wants to visit Mexico, and obviously I want to take her there.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I want to see everybody, but I really don't want to spend time over there. I don't really like the States, so
So,
so there's no point. There's really no point in going.
what's up with when's the last time you were in Tijuana?
Like 2 weeks before I left, so 2015, either late July or
Damn.
beginning of August, 2015.
Yeah, and the only thing you miss is the food
Yes.
and the, well, I guess, friends.
Well, no, I mean, there's not that many people left in Tijuana. There's Beto. Um, I mean, yeah, there's like Beto, Sosa, Juan, but it's still like Beto was the only one that I used to see often or semi often. So
Right.
even like that, it feels kind of strange going back. So
Yeah, but Marco, what, doesn't count because he's in San Diego?
yeah,
Okay.
and I like San Diego even less. It's true. I find it boring. I know people get very excited because it's the beach and all that shit, but it's fucking boring and big.
No, I agree. I agree. I agree. I totally agree. I'm like, I like San Diego. Like, I think I like it. It's relaxed, but I'm like, nah, man. Like, I feel like I'd like to maybe retire out there if anything, pero nah. Like like it. What is there to do? Like, I don't know. Like, well, there's stuff to do, but like it's pretty boring. It's kind of this.
Go to Mexico,
Exactly. Go to Tijuana. Yeah, totally.
eat some pho.
Word.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm here, man. This. That's why I was asking you, because it's something that most of my friends have. You know, like we all left home,
Yeah.
and you're kind of stuck in this new thing where you'll always be missing certain things about that other place, but you can't go back. You can't. You can't date a model and go back to that.
That. Nah, exactly. No, yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I'm used to like also too like out here in New York, like I don't know, like a certain quality of life and a certain like como se dice, but like the mentality of people out here and the pace of the city and all that. I'm like, it'd be hard to kind of adjust to somewhere else right now, like where I'm at right now in my life. Like maybe when I'm older, I don't know. But up until now, I love it here. There's so much stuff to do, both like work wise and like just personally. Like there's a ton of fun stuff to do.
How much stuff do you actually get to do personally?
Not as much as I'd like to. Not as
I'm not.
much.
I'm not being a dick. Because it's one of
You're
the.
not okay. Because
No,
that
because
was
it's
your
one of
dick
the.
voice. That was.
How much of a personal life do you have, me?
I have a fairly good. It's like it's been a struggle. No, that's a big thing to try to figure out a work life balance. But at
Between
least on the weekend.
yeah,
Dude,
between
what?
working and taking your cat to the vet.
Dude, my cats, dude, are my babies. Gotta take care of them.
um, no, because one of the things why we always like why Elise and I talk about the city is that I don't want to. We have very different opinions because she grew up here, so for her this is ordinary, and for
Right,
me this is the greatest city ever. And the cool thing is that it's not as big as New York, so it's got
right.
all that intensity, but it's manageable. Like it's still a monster, but it's you could, if you put enough effort, you could go through it, and it's it's not gonna remain this unknown beast where you understand that you will only get to know a little corner. It still is like that, but it's just less. You know what I mean? Less daunting. So I would very happily stay here forever, but the cost of living is just, it's impossible. There's no way we can have kids here. Like it's just
Yeah.
impossible unless we move to
Yeah.
the
No.
outside, to the outskirts, and then I don't want to do that because that'd be like if you work in LA and then I don't know. I'm not gonna make an
Like you're
example.
commuting from. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no point in and then like having the struggle of working in a big city while having none of the benefits of living outside. So in that case, I would just rather move. And then one thing that I keep saying is that, well, yeah, we have everything here, but then I think like, what do I do with all that everything besides think about it? Because I'm busy. I don't really have a lot of time to. So my thing about there being everything in Paris is just I get to walk around, and that makes me happy.
Right.
Just walking around. I don't know. Little things like, for example, the fact that you could drink on the street. It's something very nice to be able to go to a party and walk back. It's this beautiful city. That's enough for me. And there's the option of the opera and all that shit that I never do. It's there.
But right, but for example, that about just thinking about the things you can do in the city and but not really doing it because you're too busy. Like, but do you think that's because like you're working towards something? Because like your guys are still kind of like building your life, no? Like, do you think there'll be a point where like I guess you'll be more established in I don't know like a career, like your work and that kind of stuff, and yet her too, and then that do you think might give you a little bit more freedom to do more stuff in the city, explore the things, or not, or do you think it's always going to be like this?
I hope there is, but I don't think so because I made the mistake of studying humanities. So I'm being realistic. That's like the big catalyst for this whole podcast was that the stress of like what the fuck is happening to my life, what am I doing, and the need, yeah, and the need to one, it was the need to just create something because I was feeling very I was very frustrated that any of the things, like, let's say, quote unquote artistic, I'm not trying to pretend that it's art, but just saying like creative things, I was getting frustrated that I couldn't produce things fast enough, either because of time or money or whatever. And I said, I want to do something. I want to have something concrete. So that was one thing. And the other was just that I need to talk to my friends. I need to know how you're doing. I need to compare. I need to hear, like, because like I hear you doing so good, and there's a little thing inside me that goes like, "Fuck! Like, what did I do wrong?" Like, I mean, you've worked fucking harder than probably any of us have. So I remember, I remember those days at Southwestern College.
Yeah, no, I've been fucking hustling my fucking ass for a while, man. I've been hustling, but what do you mean? But what do you mean? Like, where did you go wrong? What are you talking about?
What?
You said like you see me doing well, and then you're like, oh, where did I go wrong? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I've talked about this on other episodes, so just go back, go back
Oh,
and
okay.
hear that.
I'll wait to hear it.
No, um, well, it's just I don't have a path. That's the thing. There's nothing that I can build. That's what's frustrating. So it just feels like I'm doing a lot of hard work without it going anywhere. It's just hard work to get by. It's it's because
Right.
as a teacher, like there's really no moving up. There's no next step. So the amount of hard work that you put in is just the amount of hard work that you have to do.
But like, what happened though? Like, what you used to have like plans, no? Like, you
I
always
know.
had like, for example, with the creative stuff. Like, for example, you always wanted to be like a writer, like that was a big thing of yours, not to write, and you're good at it. And what happened? Like why aren't you writing? Like what you should like, don't you have a goal or something like that? Like I don't know, like some kind of book that you want to publish, or I don't know.
So I was writing. I had managed to get into the problem's always discipline.
Yeah.
I had managed to get into actually that's one of my notes, something that you did. I remember that one Christmas not a couple, many years ago, you bought me a recorder. That was very sweet
No, yeah.
because I kept saying like it's just I get the idea at the moment. I believe in those stupid writer's myths, like I get the idea at the moment, and if I don't get it right then and there, it's just lost and it just vanishes. And that I understood later that no, it's just discipline. If you force yourself to write enough, you can find that again. But you got me that recorder, and I ended up recording tons of ideas that I never wrote down. Good
Okay.
ideas.
So I enabled you from not doing any real writing.
Well, no, because you took away the excuse for my hands. So
Toma,
yeah,
take
so
that.
it was good. Plus, it was a very sweet gift.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I didn't even remember that. That was many years ago, no? We were still living in California, right? I guess.
I think in Tijuana. I was living in Tijuana. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, right.
I was still at the house.
Cool.
And I actually I brought the recorder here. It's one of the. One day I'll do something with those ideas.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean about the discipline with the writing, dude, because that's something I've been struggling. That's like my biggest weak spot now because so in this gig, no, that I have, both as a scientist and as a clinician, especially as a scientist though, it's like they don't really teach me, us, when you're in grad school and that kind of stuff, really to a strong degree. Like, dude, I'm a writer too. Like that's actually a big, big, big fucking role of our jobs, as scientists, because we have to write things to publish, all our science, and we have to. It's a lot of writing, man, and it's like I did not have that discipline at all. I didn't necessarily think of myself as a good writer whatsoever. Obviously, it's different kind of writing than what you do, what you're interested in, but there are a lot of things that are still similar, no, because I have to basically, when you're writing a research paper, it's like it's a story, and you're trying to make it in a way that's captivating, explaining why you did this, research, and your results and why they're meaningful, and it has to read, well and interesting. And my god, man, like it just takes so much to like sit down and write all that stuff, plus you're writing grants as well. And then for me, I'm writing my patient reports clinically. And exactly. And so like I've been trying to force myself, like thinking about like what do writers in general do in this, like it's that, right? About like if I just force myself to try to write like every day, I don't know, like give myself an hour, I guess, a day to try to force myself just to put anything down, that eventually helps to just get into the habit of writing. I don't do that. It's something I want to do,
Yeah,
but god
exactly.
damn, I get it, man. Like it's a struggle.
Well, I got two things to say about that. One, I had a friend in Santa Barbara who was doing a PhD in education, and she actually started a program specifically with that problem, with that idea in mind, which is teaching people in the sciences how to write because of that big vacuum. That it's just like,
Totally.
well, you're a mathematician. Go tell me what math is. Go
Exactly.
ahead. And nobody trains those people to do that. I mean, and that even happens in the humanities. Just because you study humanities doesn't mean that you could write a good research paper.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, so there's stuff like that being done in Spanish. If you want, I could send you some links. I don't know if you're interested. Maybe that'd be more like something you could incorporate once you're teaching, or that you could pass on to if you have interns or shit like that. Um,
Yeah, no, that'd be
I
cool. Yeah, I'll check it out.
could send you some links for that. And then the other thing about writing, you could always just drink. That helps.
Not with me, man. Like actually not. Like as soon as I start drinking and I'm like, well, why am I doing this? I'm gonna go do something fun. I just do anything else.
So that's exactly what happened to my novel. I had a
Yeah.
very good rhythm where there's this bar that I love in my street, and so when I had the first job that I had when I got here, that was the fucking best job of my life. and I had a lot of free time and decent money, so I would just go to the bar and write. And from 1 to 3 beers, it was nice. Just free writing, no filter. Just go, 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 go. Edit later. Edit the next day.
Yeah,
And that's the best thing to do. Just not don't hold yourself back.
totally.
But then that gets fucking expensive, man. You can't because
Yeah.
then once you start having a bit too much fun, then it's no longer about writing, and then you get a kebab because you're hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't
Yeah.
have time to cook, and then the next day you don't get up that early, etc., etc. But so I had a good rhythm going with that, and I wrote some stuff that I'm very proud of, but it's still pretty loose. It's nothing that I could put out on its own.
Why?
Because it's all part of a giant story. I just fuck, man. This is my problem with everything. I can't start. I can't start the fucking show. You saw how long it took us to start the I'm bad at starting. Once things get going, like I could do it. And so it's the same thing. Like I can't start a story without explaining everything, and I end up just like telling the story of my life, to explain why I chose that flavor gum or whatever. And so I had this story that I was telling, and it became some sort of like Tristram Shandy thing where I could never get started. And whatever came out of that, I actually really liked because it became this sort of therapy that I had because it was at the time when I had just arrived. I didn't speak French. I had one friend, and I was going through some sad moments. Things, even at the beginning, things were kind of rough with Elise because it was like a bit too much pressure, you know.
Yeah.
And because I mean, I knew what was going on, so I was doing my best not to unload the responsibility for my happiness on her, but at the same time I had nothing. So it was a tough couple of months, and that was my therapy because I would just sit down and talk shit to myself, and it was like a dialogue between the different people in my head, and just like back and forth, like, you worthless piece of shit, you think you're a writer, you're nothing, look at you, you come here, all you do is come here and get drunk and scribble on your stupid notebook, playing the part of the writer in a Paris cafe. You're nobody. It's just like fucking hard, man.
Yeah, dude, that's damn, man. And then, but wait, and then so, but what happened? Then but you were writing, you were doing it, and then what happened?
I don't know. I lost a little bit of the discipline. A lot of it changed when I changed jobs, so that meant I had less money, and then I couldn't keep up with that expensive writing routine.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
um, and then with that lack of money, that meant, I mean, it's still just an excuse because there's time. I waste a lot of time on the internet. I could not be doing this podcast. um, but with changing that job, it meant that I had to take on a lot of different jobs because I couldn't find just one job that would cover everything. So at some points, I was juggling 3 or 4 jobs, or 3 jobs and some um, independent stuff like working from home. So even if I wasn't busy like nonstop from 8 to 5 or 8 to 8, it's still the mental organization that demands.
Claro, of course,
It,
yeah,
it it takes up over your entire day,
totally.
even if you do have free moments in between. And that kind of stopped it. And so I found some outlets like the mime class. That shit was beautiful. I know it sounds.
Was it though? Like it's
Yes.
okay. I'm glad you felt that way.
I mean, you remember how nervous I used to get on stage? I'm not a stage type of guy.
What? You nervous? No.
Remember the first shows? Like I was just fucking shaking, like I can't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, but so but when you were saying you were taking all these different jobs, but they were, you said, to cover the bills, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, just to be able to survive, no?
yeah. I mean, quote unquote, I don't want to play the victim and like, oh, I mean, I'm living in Paris by choice, so we could just move somewhere else. I'm paying the price
Dude, no one's saying.
to live in the
No one's
city.
saying. Yeah, but that's fine. That's nothing to like excuse or anything. Um, yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's tricky. Like with that, 'cause I do think, for example, like earlier when we're talking about like the balance and feeling that there's too much to do in the city, and we don't have time. I honestly also feel a big issue for me. Besides, yeah, I'm too busy, but I do think the biggest thing is that I'm too broke. That I don't make a lot of money right now. That I'm hoping once I get like a real job, I'm a faculty somewhere, that I'm getting paid well. I think that would help that be able to go out and do more stuff besides because like how you're saying right now, like it takes a lot of energy, god damn, just to figure out, how to survive. No, like, and it's just, ah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
too much.
And again, I mean, these are nice problems to have,
Exactly.
but yeah, it becomes a bit overwhelming. But see, so that you hit on something that's what the thing that I'm looking for with everybody that I'm talking to is that there was a moment when I was okay thinking like that because I was young. So I thought,
Thinking
uh,
like what?
well, saying like once I get a real job, because
Oh yeah.
I'm just a kid, and then there's the adults over there in the real world, and I'm just a dude doing any job, just enough so I could party and have a good time. Uh, and then there was
Hmm.
the adults who could afford concerts. I'm not even thinking about cars or houses or anything like that. Just the adults that could afford a fancy restaurant more than once a month.
Right.
And then what happened was that I don't know, it got to the point where that excuse is no longer valid. It's not about the adults because now I see people younger than me doing that. And that's where I started going like,
Yeah.
wait, so what the hell happened? I thought it was just a matter of waiting. You just put in the time, and then it just kind of happens, and you're old and you have the life. And apparently not. And I have been working. I mean, yes, I've enjoyed life, but I also haven't been extremely lazy. I've studied, I've worked.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody would say that you've been lazy, dude. I don't think so.
Well, you should read my novel.
But the problem is like you haven't really been working, in something or in some kind of, I don't know, job with the goal that you're gonna keep working there and it'll keep going somewhere. No, like you've been just getting jobs to kind of survive that you like, that they're great, but nothing that really necessarily putting you on a path. No.
Right. So that was the thing. The first it was a PhD, and that was a problem that I had that in my head since I was like 15, and that was the path. And then when I started it, the first one in California, uh,
Hmm.
and I quit, I was just so disillusioned by the academic world.
Right.
I can't say the academic world by what I saw, because I had these like fucking Greek ideals of the university, the academy, and all that shit, and it didn't match up with that. Or it didn't match up with what I wanted it to be. Um, so then once I decided to quit that, I was fucking left in the air. Like that had been my plan for a long time, and I didn't know what else I was supposed to build towards. So when I got here, it was a fucking dream, man. I mean, I was at a university in Paris, and I got to teach literature to master students. Dude, those were like two fucking beautiful years where I wrote the syllabus of my dreams.
Yeah.
It was fucking beautiful. So I can't complain. I lived that. I was given the chance of, by some luck, I was able to jump a couple hurdles and end up at that spot without having to do all the other extra work, except that it could only last those 2 years, and it was great. But I don't know if I want to keep along that path. Like I started a new PhD, but that's more for like the passion of that particular project. I'm not keeping any illusions in my head because I've seen how much work it takes just to maybe be given the chance of getting a ticket to the lotto, you know? And
No, I have no idea. What do you mean? Like, what's too much work? What is?
um, like doing the PhD, going to like conferences, Like it's not the same when you're doing it in science because you're actually doing research.
Right.
But it's just like, but it's this constant thing where you have to be there, you have to be seen, you have to make connections. I mean, that makes sense. It's a job. It's all right. But the success rate, the amount of time, if you look at other people that are doing PhDs, I look at the people that I know, I'm not sure I want that life. I don't see a lot of happy people, or if they are, they're happy being there by sacrificing family life, which for me is the priority. So I'm not doing this PhD with the illusion of becoming a full professor in France. That's like a fantasy. If it happens, cool. If I can manage to get a job at a lower end school, I would be okay. I'm not aiming all the way up. That's why I aimed high in terms of the university to get accepted in, so it'd be make it easier to get the other type of job. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because because what do you want to do with this PhD though? Like what would be an ideal? For example, you really liked teaching at that school at the beginning when you moved out there. Like, is that like would that be your ideal setting? Like, just to go back to that and be able to teach those classes.
Yes, if I could teach literature, I would be a very, very happy man. But just looking at the numbers, the number of people that graduate each year from the same degrees, and the fact that it's Paris, so you're gonna have the biggest competition here. You see all these brilliant people who take jobs in the middle of nowhere because some university is paying them. I that's not my it's not my jam. That's not what I'm gonna do with my life.
Well, then what is then? All right. So then,
I
what do
don't
you want to
know.
do? Well, because obviously you don't like that enough, or it sounds like you're a little bit maybe like too afraid to commit to that. Like yeah, it's gonna be tough. Yeah, it's gonna be competitive. So what? But if you're liking it, like just keep doing it, and then stop until you can't do it anymore or something. Like you're limiting yourself way before you're actually in that position. Like you're already thinking about the job you may not get because so many people are graduating with a degree at that. I'm like, you're not at that point yet. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, worry about that when you're there.
Right, but
Like, just keep doing it if you like it.
yeah, but the thing is that I'm not like I don't have funding. So that means that like every year that I'm in the PhD, it's like exponential that I'm not making connections. I don't go to events, I don't go to conferences, I don't do any of that stuff. And I've already seen it happen with some in-house scholarships where I have been refused on some very stupid terms. And I know that it's inside politics, or I assume that it's inside politics because,
You mean because you're not networking, because you're not doing that work, that you don't get these awards?
yeah,
But why aren't you known in the department?
well, because I don't have time to go to every time somebody thinks up of a silly paper to write, and you have six people there not really listening. I don't have time to go to all those events because I have to work.
Mm.
And even if I had time, any time that I spend at one of those little conferences, I could be at the library doing research. So I don't do those things. So therefore, I'm not known in the department. And there's this they kind of see me like I'm doing it as a hobby or some weird shit like that without acknowledging the fact that I'm working harder than them. Like I'm doing that and something else. Uh, and it gets annoying.
But you do kind of make it sound like you're doing it as a hobby, though. You did just say right now, you're like, I'm not doing it to get like in a field and to get like a professor job and to be attending conferences. I'm just doing it because I'm passionate about the project,
Right. Well, no,
which in a way sounds like a hobby.
that's just me being realistic. That is what I want, but I don't want to get that disappointment because I think that that's the realistic expectation. That's still my aim. I'm still gonna do that. Otherwise, I
Do
would just
what?
finish the PhD and apply for work and do all of
Or
that.
yeah.
But because my life would be a lot easier if I took away that giant load off my shoulders and just worked full time at some other stuff. But I have to be realistic that I'm starting from a negative part, And then every year that goes by, like the other people are getting further and further ahead of me. Like the distance between us is greater and greater. So I'm just being realistic. I don't think I can do 100% commitment given the circumstances. I think I have to be smart and keep other options open. And that's why I say that, like I'm not going to do that. That would be the dream. Yes. And I'm going to try it. But I have to keep another thing open because I'll finish what at 40 and and then what if that doesn't work? That's kind of late to start a new thing.
You'll be finishing your PhD at 40?
Well, it's supposed to take 3 years, but obviously it doesn't. So average, it's 5.
Okay.
But then there's always that moment. There's like at least a 1 year in between where nothing happens. Uh, Things are getting really weird with education here. There seems to be like this big reform coming. Uh, I think they're gonna try to start copying the American system, which is terrifying.
No.
They just announced like because I pay 380 euros for the year for the PhD,
Wow.
which is fucking beautiful, man.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't go to class. It's like the classes are just administrative. I don't go to class. All I have to do is research. So I'm basically paying for the right to the library and the benefits that I get from that access to journals, speaking with my director, all that stuff. But they're going to raise it next year to 3,700 for people out from outside the European Union.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think I'm okay. I think it's only for people that have not started yet. But still, that's like the first step in a big, big, big reform because there was some other big stuff happening
Right.
the year before, last year. And I was teaching at one of the universities where all the protests were going on. So yeah, but anyway, so
So you're saying that that you can't really like excel in your career right now because of your financial responsibilities, because you have to work to help pay your bills, and that kind of stuff, and because of that you can't attend all these things that will help you secure a job,
exactly,
right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah. Damn. There isn't anything you can do, like talk with your wife about, like, I don't know, like getting some financial support, like having her take more of the load so you can focus, I don't know, a year or something to halas or something like that. No, that's not a possibility.
We could do that definitely if we moved out of Paris because she would get the same salary. But then that would mean she would have to commute into Paris. I would have to commute into whatever part-time job I took here, or if I didn't work or whatever. So we have talked about it. She has kind of offered it. Um,
Yeah.
I'm afraid of putting all my eggs in one basket at this age. You know,
I guess.
I feel like it's even though it's stupid to do things like at half intensity. I have to try different things. That I don't want to give up with the photo stuff. So the writing, for example, that was my initial dream, and then somehow out of nowhere, I don't know how this photo thing started happening, and I started realizing that I was good, and that's where I realized that I'm really
Mhm.
that I think that's where I really am me, like where things are coming out that I'm very proud of.
Cool.
So that's the thing that I would like to. But anyway, to close this subject, um, based on a conversation I had with Alex Romo from Tijuana,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
precisely about this thing about being the type of person that doesn't follow a straight path, that jumps around a lot, and he had this very smart way of thinking about it. Like, well, you just have to figure out that you are this type of person, and then find a place where they appreciate that type of person. And I was like, all right. So I applied for a job at a tech company, and I got it, and that's where I'm working now.
Nice. Cool. All right. Good. What are you doing?
So it's very very basic, and I think I'm slightly outside of the hierarchy, but I'm going in like full head. Like I'm going in with all my energy. Gonna get noticed. Gonna go to all the meetings that I can during work. The things that I can't do at the university. Um, because it's a lot less risk here, and I could afford to try it.
Right.
So there, for example, I'm taking a pay cut. At least is going to be helping cover the extra stuff. Um, I'm not teaching, so that means when I'm off the clock, I'm off the clock, which is something you don't get when you're teaching. There's always stuff in your head.
Right.
So this is going to give me
Yeah.
more time for research, which means I will finish. I will be able to finish faster than if I had continued teaching. And I'm also going to be trying this. So I'm going to be trying both at 50-50, working as hard as I can to get noticed, because like there's things that I like, I don't want to like brag, but there's things that I keep telling myself, like it's not, I don't like the word fair, but like it's not right. I can do a lot of things. I speak 4 languages now. That should count for something. There should be something I could do with that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to be like scraping by. Uh,
No, you're a very talented person, dude. I think you're your own worst enemy, man. Like obviously life situations for real. There are obviously limitations, but I sense, you're hesitant sometimes, and you're like afraid of things, and because of that, or like you say, like the lack of discipline, and then you like stop yourself and like then go another route, or just prepare yourself for the worst before you're doing that. So I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, dude, you're mad talented, dude. There's a bunch of shit you can do. Just fucking haul ass.
yeah, well, that's my plan, and I'm fucking like,
Cool.
dude, I'm so fucking happy. Like I'm drinking the startup Kool-Aid. It's insane, man. I was on Friday, like I wanted to go to work. Like Thursday night, I was like, oh man, I started on Wednesday, and Thursday night I was like, oh, I get to go to work tomorrow. It's fucking crazy, man. Everybody is happy. Everybody like smiles, and there's people clap all the time. And on Friday, I took candy that I had at home, and I put it on my desk with a little post-it that said "Help yourself," and I meant it. Like I meant it. It wasn't.
Like you weren't being sarcastic or anything.
No. I wasn't being like ironic about the startup thing. Like it's fucking contagious. Like it's just. I'm still. I got a better pimp. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still clear that somebody else is using my talent to make more of a profit, but daddy's taking care of me now. Not like not like before.
And so, like, what are you doing at the startup? What's your job?
It's whatever stuff needs a human to correct it,
Oh.
and then writing reports and all that. It really is like the bottom.
But that's okay, dude. That's where you start. That's good.
Yeah, no, and like when I went in there, I went there thinking like, oh, I got hired for it's just a simple job. But once I was inside, I realized like, oh shit, no, they probably interviewed a lot of people, and they hired me like they offered me the job like at the moment of the interview, and I was like, oh shit, like I did something good, like I earned something good, and like in the last like since Wednesday, dude, my perspective, like today I've been a little down because I was hungover. But I was hungover because I was so happy last night. Uh, like it's just like I got the city back. That feeling when I got here. Like I fucking strut around the city, even though I'm making less money. Like I fucking earned it. I'm doing something. It feels good to come home and do a little bit of research, even if it's tiny spurts. It feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. I'm happy for you, buddy. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks. I needed to unload all of that, and especially with you.
Good, man. No, I'm glad that you sound pumped. That's good, man. Just keep that going, right? And if you lose steam a little bit, figure out why, and then just keep pushing forward.
Well, and also the good thing is that the like in terms of creativity, this is really helping me, and I'm very happy. The main point of this is just having you know just catching up with all of you, because it's annoying that we don't get to do it that often.
Yeah.
So it's really crazy that the fact that once you make it official like this, and you get an intern to email your friends, people people get excited, and they actually like, we could have been doing this all along, but you never take the time to have a 2-hour conversation, and it's nice. But this
Two
is really,
hours.
yeah. I still have you for another hour. Didn't you read rule number 1?
Ah, Jesus, these rules.
But no, the creative juices are flowing. It's opening up. I mean, the
That sounds sexy.
the job at the tech company is a direct result of the very first episode I recorded. Like Alex got me thinking. I was like, oh shit, you're right. And I went and applied for work, and I got it.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
Direct result.
Yeah. And then now I met this cool guy, and we've been drinking and talking, and we decided that we're gonna try and write a movie. No, we're not gonna try. We're gonna write a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a movie.
Do it.
Even if it's shitty. And the whole point is just making it so that we have something to show so that we can ask for more money the next time. So
yeah,
working on that, working on a comic book with Alex also.
Yeah, a comic book.
Yeah. So you like comic
Nice.
books? Don't fucking laugh.
I love comic books. That's why I'm like, what are you? Oh, you should have started the podcast with that. Like, I don't care about anything else. Stupid startup. Talk to me about the comic book.
Yeah, it's not your type of comic. It's a smart book.
Shut up. Fuck you. I read all kinds of comics. You have no idea what you're talking about. Graphic novels, buddy.
There's no men in tights in this one.
Shut up. Man, something, I don't think I told you this, something that's helped me, focusing with work and that kind of stuff is Ritalin. I have a prescription for Ritalin, buddy.
Oh, and?
Yeah. I've had it for like a few months now, actually. I think I had it when maybe in the summer, I think I started taking it. I was able to, I went to go see a psychiatrist. Because honestly, I've always had some concerns. I've always thought that not, ADHD, there's, different types of ADHD. There's the hyperactive type, which, we all remember our friend, which is obviously that. But then there's also the inattentive part, where it's just hard to pay attention and like keep your attention focused and that kind of stuff. Throughout grad school, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've realized I've always kind of really had a really hard time with that. Like, forever. I think you might too, a little bit. But, like, quite a bit, like, forever. But the only thing is, obviously, well, I'm smart. So I was able to compensate for it, because I would just do well in school and, keep going up until I started to actually, be an adult and kind of, like, have to live life. That I started to notice, like, oh, shit, like, I'm struggling way too hard to keep up compared to like my peers and that kind of stuff. And throughout grad school, people would tell me that they're like, some of my friends in grad school, they were like, I think you may have ADHD, man. Like you can't focus for shit. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, especially.
Well, and they're all psychologists, so.
No, exactly. No, and it mostly came from the pediatric neuropsychologists or the pediatric psychologists, because they're the ones that specialize in that even more, on evaluating attentional problems. And so they were the ones telling me. And so I was like, shut up, what are you talking about? And I didn't really believe it, no. And then, a close friend of mine kept mentioning it to me often. And then I started to notice, that I'm like, oh shit, like once I paid more attention to people around me, like I would know, like, for example, I remember like last 2 years ago when I was in LA during internship, I remember my co-intern, we shared an office, that I always found it incredible that he could just sit and work. I'm like, how does he do that? I'm like, I can't do that. I would sit.
Fucking maniacs.
Exactly, like freaks in
My
nature.
wife does that, dude. She just fucking sits down and works all day. It's like, what the fuck? How do you
do that?
Like, I have like 20 tabs open at the same time.
Exactly. And then the thing is, for example, with me, by that point, I kind of already noticed that, but I didn't want to take like medication or anything like that. So then I forced myself to like, as a psychologist, kind of do behavioral interventions, to work on my discipline, for example, set like rules. Like I would always put my phone away. Like I would hide it. I have these kind of blocks on my computer, where like I can't have many tabs open, and all these different things to like limit myself, to be able to do that. And it was still really fucking hard, because also it was just like I can't sit still. Like I'm sitting, I start to write, and then I get distracted, and then I just want to do something else, and I get up and I move, and I don't notice it until kind of like I'm in it. It's like, oh shit. And so like that kind of just kept happening. And then, and to be honest, and I remember back in the day, being a kid, actually, and with you guys, I think especially like I noticed it a little bit. I noticed it with you, I think a little bit too, but mostly I think with Marco, because I remember when we were kids, I always found it really weird that I felt that you guys finish your homework a lot faster than me, and I always thought that I was like, I always thought that you guys were fast. Not that I was slow. Because I remember especially like even in college, or not college, like I don't I don't remember. Yeah, I think it must have been college time. I remember like I would just hang out with Marco, and Marco would say, like, I don't know, we both had something to do. Like, I don't know, you have to write an essay or something, and like Marco would be like, all right, well, let's go do that. Let's meet like in an hour, I guess, and we'll play video games. And in my mind, I'm like, in an hour? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right. You would do the same thing to me. Like Marco would actually like, yeah, I'm just gonna write an outline for my essay, and then after the outline's done, the essay's done.
Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
no, like an outline. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and I remember all those things, and even being younger as a little kid too, like in elementary. I just remember also being like struggling. That I was think it was weird. Like, why are all the other kids already outside playing soccer? When I'm like still trying to finish this stupid fucking homework. And I spoke about this with Marco when I went back like in October to Tijuana and San Diego. And he mentioned that he did remember that he always hated doing work with me because it would take longer. Because I would just get distracted and I would just do other things. And so the point is, like, and then especially, like, and then seeing my peers in school, in grad school, on internship and postdoc, and seeing that people don't struggle that much, like, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things that's discipline. There's a lot of things that's the behavioral things that you can change, but sometimes it's a little bit more than that, And so I was struggling a lot in my first year on postdoc, especially because, yeah, obviously there's just the workload is the most intense I've had in my life. But it just obviously didn't help that I just can't fucking sit and write, or stay focused on something. And so I went to go see a psychiatrist. I told him basically all my symptoms and that kind of stuff, and he agreed, and he gave me a prescription for Ritalin. And my God, it changed my life. It's been incredible to be on Ritalin. I'm much more focused. I still have, there's some stuff that's just difficult. But for example, what's different now is like now I can tell when I'm like, all right, like there's just not enough hours in the day that I know I have too much work than what I can actually do with my time. But I'm happy with that, because I knew I worked my ass off for 8 hours, like, or more at work, whereas before it was like, shit, all right, I've been at work for like 8 hours or 10, but like, how much did I really work during those hours? Not a lot, right? Because I'm getting distracted and shit, and I have a lot of work. So obviously that just made my stress and anxiety worse. But now with
Mm-hmm.
Ritalin, I can sit and I'm working. I'm like legit focused and working, and I'm getting shit done. And then let's say now I'm like, all right, it's 6 o'clock. I'm like, all right, I didn't finish everything, but I'm like, hey, I worked the whole day. And so I don't feel at least bad about it. Because I'm like, oh, all right, but I worked. I just have too much work. And then that's fine.
Can we get Ritalin to sponsor this episode?
I know, right? Yeah, dude, like stimulants, that's where it's at, man.
What type of drug is it? Because I don't remember if it was Ritalin or Adderall. Because I had a friend that had a prescription for it in grad school, and I took it, and it was just fun. And because I always had that secret hope that like maybe that's what's wrong with me, and this will make me focus. And
Mhm.
I just took it, and I just enjoyed the fucking amphetamine. It's like, look at the light rays coming in the window.
So it gave you
And yeah,
it gave you more energy?
I mean, it gave me energy like fun drugs do. It was it wasn't like a focus and write your papers. I wrote some very passionate papers, uh,
Okay.
but the way I would if I was high, not the way I would if distractions had been taken out of my environment.
Well, they're both kind of similar in terms of class, but yeah, Adderall is the amphetamine, and Ritalin is like an amphetamine like. So it's called methylphenidate. That's what Ritalin is. And they both act kind of in a similar way. But actually, I before I moved before I moved to, I think this is fine to share. I don't care. So before I moved to LA, when I was out here in New York, and I was trying to wrap up my dissertation, I tried Adderall. I had a friend that provided me with some Adderall, and it was amazing because like for me, it doesn't like it didn't give me energy. If anything, it stopped me. Like I took it and I just sat down and worked. And I remember at that time too, like I remember like Gina had mentioned, that she would always kind of laugh when she would see me work because I would be like squirming on my seat a lot and moving, shaking around. But the moment I took Adderall, I was just sitting doing work, and I didn't feel rushed. I just felt calm, like I almost
Shit.
I almost felt like it was like I don't have anxiety anymore. I just felt calm. And with Ritalin, I basically feel the same way. It has a less of a kick. Adderall had a more of a punch to it.
Oh yeah.
Ritalin, but the punch was a bit like a calming punch. It's like this wave of calmness just went over me, and I'm like, oh, all right, well, I can just do this now.
Like for me, look, I'm not a scientist, and I was able to take it when I took the pill. I was like, oh, it's amphetamines.
Right,
I could
right, right, right,
recognize
right.
the I recognize the feeling. So I guess, and it sucks because I always had that secret hope that that could fix it. Um, so what the good thing was that I could stay
You
up.
took one pill, you said, right, from like that your friend gave you, and so you had that kind of effect. Yeah, that might be.
I might have taken a couple.
No. Well, okay. At the same time, well then yeah, then maybe.
Oh no, not at the same time.
No, but I mean you tried one pill first by itself, and then that's how you felt? Like you got like that extra energy, like, whoa.
Yeah, I think I started with a half dose, and then
Oh,
I tried,
okay.
a pill. But I immediately recognized, like, I know this feeling. I remember this feeling. I like it. Give me more.
Okay.
Uh, and then the good thing was that I could stay up all night. So what I would do was I would just never write my paper, and paper was due at 8 in the morning, and then start the day before like at 5 p.m. and go turn it in at 7:59, all
Right.
sweaty and disgusting,
Like
reeking of cigarettes.
like maybe it would maybe help if you were to take it like as prescribed, like take it like in the morning, like when you're about to work, or something, so you can don't also not to fuck with your sleeping habit, with your sleep, schedule, maybe. Um, but you're right, but maybe not, because from what I've heard is that for most people that I guess do need it, like do benefit, have that like the reaction that I described, which is kind of like it calms you down, and then like I don't feel like whoa, yeah, like I can do it. No, I'm just like, oh, calm, and I can sit, and I have more energy. I do feel more energized, but I feel like almost energized, like like after you drink a coffee in the morning or something. Like
Mm.
just focus and like, oh, all right, and it's great.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous, and I'm not. I'm jealous because you could focus. Not jealous because you don't get to enjoy that sweet, sweet kick.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
but I don't. But see, in my case, for example, what I'm still struggling to do is accept the fact that I cannot focus and work on the fact that I like to mix things, and then just
Right.
it has to move like a whirlwind. It has to be that way.
Look, the thing for me actually, and a big thing that helped me kind of figure it out too, because the other thing that I was thinking it may not be like attentional problems. It might just be that I have anxiety, no? That the anxiety of work and writing, stresses me out, and because of that, I can't focus, right? And so I think that's a key thing to differentiate between, you know, you have a hard time focusing and that gives you anxiety, or you have anxiety and that it keeps it hard to focus.
Mm.
The way you describe it, it sounds like it might be more that it's anxiety and stress, and then because of that, your mind goes all over the place. Whereas with me, it's the other way around. Well, it's a little bit of both, I think, but it's primarily I struggle focusing, and that stresses me out, gives me anxiety, and then I go all over. It makes obviously the attentional problem worse.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is to disagree, but then I'm trying to think of what happens. I definitely get more distracted and procrastinate a lot more on the internet when I have a deadline.
There you go. Yeah.
And there are moments where I can just get into the flow, like that fucking moment when you go, I don't know, you go to the library and next thing you know, you're shaking. You're like, what the fuck? Like, oh, I haven't drank water since 9 in the morning, but it didn't matter because you were there. You were excited. So I can manage to do that.
See, dude, like I can't do that. Like that's never really happened to me, like naturally. Like the only thing that does that to me basically is guitar, like guitar playing. That was the only thing, and also like growing up, like I remember guitar playing was the only thing that captured my attention, that I could just be at my guitar playing for hours, learning a song, and then be like, oh shit, I'm hungry. What the fuck? Oh right, damn. Nothing else really in my life has made me that I can feel like in the groove like that.
How's that going?
Right now with the Ritalin, it's great, man. It pisses me off to think like, damn, dude, I could have had this through grad school. Like I'd be fucking more successful. I'm doing pretty well, but damn, like I feel like imagine the shit I would have gotten done. The time I've wasted, and so I feel good. It's helped me for sure because I'm more productive now, and I'm more focused with my work, and my boss has definitely gotten had better attitude with me. Whereas at the first year was like, why are you taking so long to get these things done?
Right. Well, I mean, the basic problem, and this is not my joke. It's I think a Mitchell and Webb joke, but the problem with that is that some idiot decided to put the writing machine next to the everything machine, and now
Exactly.
that's not very productive.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But like, it also helps, like I'm telling you, like uh like the behavioral stuff, to try to change it and find ways to really work in discipline. And that helps like through therapy too, like going to see a therapist to help you figure that stuff out can go a long way.
Are you going to therapy?
Yep. I go to therapy once a week. Been going to therapy since for over a year now, actually, since October of last year, November, pretty much.
How's that going?
It's going really well. It's going. I've enjoyed it very much. I think it's been super helpful. Focused on a lot of different things. Obviously, first of all, I started going to therapy to focus with the that big traumatic event that happened in October, November last year.
Yeah.
And then also just with everything else, managing stress, managing other long-term problems. It's a mix of focusing on bigger issues that have probably been there for like a long time, and also focusing on more of the moment things now too. And so it's been helpful.
What's it like? I mean, because you're not a therapist, but you still had to go through the whole
Right, and I
like
can
you
do
you did
therapy.
you did your hours as a therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm trained as because I'm a clinical neuropsychologist, but through that training, like I did do therapy. I'm trained in that, and I can do it. Like when I was for internship, like I had several patients that I was therapizing. That's a technical.
I had this conversation with a friend that you didn't meet. You would have met him if you'd been at my wedding, but you didn't.
Nah, fuck that.
Um, and he's a literature student,
God, sounds
and
terrible.
he was talking to me about his therapy, and we had this conversation about how, well, first between somebody that studies literature and all you do is interpret,
Right.
trying to, it's obviously not the same thing, but you find a way to look for things. And we were talking about whether that can be an issue when the other person is trying to interpret your life. So on the one hand, whether one, you also are a master interpreter, and on the other, whether that changes the way like your narrative changes instinctively. You can't pull it out the same way because you're already going through that filter yourself. Does that make sense?
A little bit, I think so.
That was just thinking between literature and psychology, but you are directly there. So
Right.
are you able to turn that off, or what's the?
Well, no, it's because you don't have to. Like, it depends, Like, first of all, like what you describe right now, like that's not really something for him, for like the patient to really worry about too much, because that's the therapist's job to really be able to navigate these things is how that's just kind of like extra worry and anxiety that's not really actually meaningful, no, because it's still
It was me, not him, that said it. It was me thinking about it. He's
yeah.
very happy with his therapist.
No, exactly, because it's like, well, yeah, you're right. Like, the way it made it sound like you were describing it, it's like almost like if as a defense mechanism, oh, because I'm interpreting things, I can't interpret more or something, or it's going to be an obstacle in my, process in therapy. But like the therapist, if he or she is good at it, should be able to notice these things and be able to go around them, and work with the patient to go beyond those obstacles that it's described as an obstacle, no. And like with me, one is I'm going into it with a very open mind, no, and I'm aware as much as I can of my own biases, right? And so, or like my own mental shortcuts that I'll do. And so I'm honest about that with my therapist and tell her like, look, this is kind of like what I'll be doing, and I'm trying to work against that, right? But it's obviously it helps that as a psychologist that we both can speak in like direct terms, and that's helpful, like where she can, because she can be very blunt with me and like tell me shit directly, and I get it, and I can get it immediately, and it hits me, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't think about it like that, and I can see now these things. And the part is come that it's not an issue because, well, I trust her, no, like I'm trusting her judgment, and if there's any time that I maybe disagree with her, we will talk about it. But generally, we do have a good point of view. I mean, a good like rapport, and so I think it enhances the therapy that we're both psychologists, because she can just be more direct about a lot of things, and I can describe my issues also in very specific, psych terms, or behavioral terms, and then she can get it, quicker, and that's I think it helps more than it hinders.
All right. I think it's something that I'm gonna have to figure out when I eventually go to therapy then.
Right. But like I'm telling you, but I think you try not to worry too much about that. Like just maybe bring it up if you go to therapy about it, but have your therapist worry about that, not you so much. And then try to just get in it, be in the present, in the moment in therapy, and be as honest as you can. And whatever happens, happens.
Well, that's not a problem for me. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm problem free, you know me. Oh man.
Yep, yep,
Woo.
yep. Have you ever gone to therapy?
Yeah, remember we had the same we ended up choosing the same dude in San Diego.
Oh yes, you're right. Oh right.
It's like, hey, my therapist looks like Obama. Mine too.
Oh right.
Well, I had no point of reference, but I always thought it was funny how we ended up looking for the same the same points, like that it was behavioral.
Right.
But I mean, I only went to, that was a very different state. It was very different.
Yeah, that's like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, I remember our conversations were, I have no problems. I feel like I'm at 99% there. I'm almost there, making it to full happiness. And the only problem was obviously my family.
Mm-hmm.
And but I've never had a problem with being open.
Right.
Other people tend to have a problem.
And fuck them.
Like my boss asked me some sort of question. He asked me like a simple question, and it was like, bam! I unloaded like fucking years of trauma in like 15 seconds. He's like, damn, man! Like I just asked you like what you were doing for the holidays. But that's my way of dealing with it, keeping it on the surface, because I noticed that it was starting to go deep, and so it's no longer the case like when I was going to that therapist, but it was only like 5 sessions. It wasn't that much. Where I mean, now it's the same. I'm happy and all of that. Is obviously life is more difficult. Before, the only thing I had to worry about was just like having money to drink and getting laid, and that's it.
Right. The basics.
Yeah. Whereas now, it's different. You have a relationship where I really want to have kids. and that's a big source of stress because of work.
Right.
Like I wouldn't care about work, but I want to have kids, so that's what's pushing me.
Because that's expensive.
Yeah, well, it's expensive, yes, but not as much as over there.
Right.
But still, that's a big sort of stress, and it's a stress that I've never known because I was always free. I was like, fuck it, I'll just go live on the street. Like I've always been.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. You're always okay with it. I think you've been my only friend that's been like, yeah, I can do that. Whatever. It's like, okay.
It's nice. It's a nice sort of freedom.
It sounds lovely.
It's just strange where you're 30 and all of a sudden you have to confront not having that, and you've been able to live life like that forever. It's like, oh shit,
Right.
you know. So I've been thinking about that, about therapy, but I don't know. I would have to find a Mexican person here.
Why?
Because because I could do it in French, but it wouldn't be. It's different. It's cultural differences.
Well, maybe
No?
not necessarily Mexican, as long as you can get maybe somebody that speaks Spanish, no?
Yeah, well, maybe Latin American, but not from Spain.
Well, not from Spain. Come on now.
Yeah. No, I'm serious, man.
No, yeah, I get it, I guess. But
It's very different. They're European. They're not the same. I'm not saying it as a value
yeah,
judgment. It's just different.
no, I know what you mean, but also like I think like I don't know, like try not to worry about it too much right now. Like worry about it if it's a problem, because ideally the therapist should be aware of those things, and should try to be able to not make it awkward, and make it comfortable for you anyway. And if, for example, they maybe don't understand something you're saying because it's culturally different, but then hopefully you can explain it, and then that's fine. That's not a problem. Because I feel like it's like that's like you're making new obstacles of shit that hasn't happened yet. Like fuck that, dude. Just find a therapist, and if it's a problem because they're from Spain or they don't get you culturally, well then change and get a new therapist.
Right.
But don't stop yourself before doing it. Like fuck that. Just go see a therapist. Yeah.
So I wanted to, this part can be out if you want, but I wanted to ask you about that whole thing with your dad because at some point, I don't know if this is just my impression of this is real, but in my mind, in the story that I tell myself, in the past, I think since I moved to France, my emotions are really a lot more on my skin, and I seem to recall at some point having to make a conscious decision of feeling that I was either gonna go numb or I was gonna have to force myself to feel it, and I chose to not be numb,
Okay.
And like all this shit with my family, I made it a point to not hide it. If people ask, to not give euphemisms, to not go around it, to just say like, this is what's going on. I don't like this. So it's always there. It's always there. And I find that like I'm much more moved to tears at times, not necessarily because of happiness or sadness, just out of the strength of the emotions when talking about all these things. And this thing, like, Alice keeps telling me that maybe, because I haven't spoken to my dad in a long time.
Right.
And she keeps telling me that, like, why don't you talk to him? Like, why don't you try? Because this thing keeps coming up. Like, for example, I lost some file in my hard drive recently. I was doing this gift, very symbolic. I was doing this very, very beautiful gift for Elise's parents with photographs that I took, and I accidentally erased the entire folder, and it had taken me a long time, and I was going to print a book for them for Christmas.
Damn.
Something that I would never do for my family.
Damn, you fucked up, dude.
Well, no, so I got this. I figured out a way to retrieve the information. I found it, and I ended up saving a lot of information in the disk that I had erased a long time before. And there was a picture of my dad, so I showed Elise, and she's like, "I had never seen your dad.
Dang.
Like I hadn't thought about it. Like she'd never seen a picture of him." And I don't know. It was like I think it was like 2 years ago. I had this moment where I was like. I realized like that one of the things why this transition between like what I was telling you about, it's okay because those are the adults, and then all of a sudden now realizing that I'm the adult.
Yeah.
Like why am I not there? One of the big things that happened there was realizing that I always knew that I didn't have like the father figure to tell me what to do, but what I hadn't understood was that I had been forced to fill in that spot myself.
Yeah.
And that was weird, like to think that I had to become my own father, and I'm not a good model for that. And that puts a lot of pressure because I want to have healthy children. So, there's this loop. And then, this conversation with Elise about should I talk to my dad or not? Like the easy answer is yes, Worst that happens is you bury the hatchet, you got it out of your system. I mean, best that happens is that. Worst is that you could say you tried. But then I keep saying, like, I've already fucking tried. Like, I've tried at different ages. I tried when I thought I was an adult and we had like a man-to-man talk and all that. And then I always decide that I just don't like him.
Right. See, because the thing is, like, I'm like, what I'm hearing right now, that I'm thinking, like, you said, if should I talk to him or not? Like, should I? Why is there a should? Like, what do you mean you should? What do you want? Like, do you want to? Or do you not want to? Like, why would you talk to him? Like, what's the point?
Because I want to be healthy. I don't want to have that shit hanging there. But the other part tells me, like, that's it. That's those cards you were dealt.
What do you mean? What do you mean you want to be healthy? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? And what do you think about talking to him will make you healthy?
Well, nothing. Just
Yeah, see, because that's the thing. I think you're already off to a bad start. I feel because I think you're putting a lot of expectations on talking to him or not, as because you're thinking because you want to be healthy, and it sounds like you're putting it on talking to him up, like, and that'll make you healthy or something. Like, but it depends. Like,
no.
what are you thinking? What are you talking about?
So the thing is that for the wedding, I didn't invite him. I didn't even tell him about the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a question. I was wondering, like, should I do it? Should I not do it? The final decision. I mean, I would have been happy if none of the family had
Right.
been here, but but the final decision came down to guilt. You know, if I was an old man and my only half intelligent child was getting married, it would break my heart to find out through other people, because I have cousins on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing that you don't speak, but it's like I could just imagine that heartbreak, and that hurt me to think that I could be possible of hurting somebody like that.
Okay.
But then I would just kept thinking, like, well, it's too bad. Like, it's either me or him. So, I have to protect myself.
Right.
But then from there, that kind of it became this thing. Like, why do I have the same thing has always been? Why do I have to be the adult? Why do I have to carry the guilt or the responsibility of making things right just so that I don't feel guilty, Like, he's the one that's done the shitty job, and why am I feeling guilty for repaying him for his actions?
Yeah.
And then, like, what's the best case scenario? Like, that I find out why he was a shitty he wasn't shitty, he just was not there. But, like, I don't see a solution. But I know that if I stay on this path, he's gonna die, and then there's gonna be that thing hanging, and I don't want that thing. Like, should I have fixed it? Should I have not?
Wait. So I'm still lost. Like, what thing hanging? Like, what's that thing?
Well, it's strange to just not talk to your living father.
Were you guys talking often before?
There wasn't a fight. It was just like, I'm tired of this dude. I don't like him.
No, but I mean, like, were you guys before, like, talking a lot? Like, it's not like you guys were often, chatting and being friends.
Well, we lived in the same city,
Uh-huh.
so it was sometimes we would see each other. But yeah, no, we were never
Right.
friends. I never had a great time. I don't remember ever having a great time with him.
Right.
So
And
I
so,
think I just answered my question.
what ended up happening with the wedding? Did you tell him about your wedding or no?
No, because I figured, like, it's already gonna be hard enough with my mom and my brother. I'm not gonna add a third dog to the fight. Like, so, like, that's like, there's already a 90% chance of disaster. Let's keep the other 10% out of it.
Right.
because then they're gonna fight. So I decided not to tell him, and of course my mom.
And you haven't talked to him since then either.
Well, before that,
When was the last time you spoke with him?
he called me once. I was already here in Paris, and I was pretty drunk. Called me like on a Friday, and I was drinking, and I felt weird because I didn't expect it to destabilize me like that. Like I left the bar, and I went somewhere else, and I didn't say anything mean. I just kept it like a regular conversation. Like, yeah, well, I live in Paris now. He's like, what the hell? Like, what happened? Like, I heard that you're over there with a girl. I was like, yeah, I'm over here now. You know me. Yeah, I just took a plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spoke to his wife, whom I really, really like. And I got annoyed at her because she was really like, I mean, she loves him, so she's trying to take care of him. She said, you should really talk to him. You shouldn't let this much time go by. But I got annoyed that I felt like I was being made to feel guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's tough because you shouldn't feel guilty. Like, but the only thing is, don't think about, like, it's not about being the adult here or anything like that. It's just do what you want to do. If you think you'll be selfish, like if you think you'll feel, it sounds like you would feel better just talking to him. Like if you think you'll feel better, that sounds like something you want to do. I'd say just do it. And
No.
say whatever you want to say.
No. No. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to. I have nothing to say.
But then why it's you do want to. Shut up.
No, I don't want to hurt people. That's the thing. I imagine myself growing old and then having my son just cutting me out of his life, my life, his life. So I feel guilty for that, but not just because I'm hurting a person. But as soon as I put it in terms of him and me, like, oh fuck no, like it's my life, and I don't like I didn't do anything wrong. So no, I don't want to. I just in my head it's an unsolvable problem, and one of the two solutions is gonna, it's like, do you take 30% damage or 60% damage? So I'll take 30% damage, and that's it.
But even that, like, no one's making you feel guilty. You're feeling guilty because you wouldn't like that. And because this is who you are. You don't necessarily like to hurt people. And it's and because of that, you would want to talk to him because of that, because it would take care of this guilt that you have on yourself, and it'll make you feel better. I think you should do it. I don't think there's absolutely no harm from doing it. And if anything, like you said, yeah, like it'll either miraculously lead to some really good conversation that you'll understand him in a way that you've never thought about before, or it'll be a thing of like, oh shit, it's all exactly the same. And then you can reassess at that point. About, be like, all right, it's still as crappy as before. I might be willing to still do this. Maybe have an annual checkup with him, just to do my part that you feel you should as a son or whatever you're thinking. Or you'll be like, no, I was actually doing well without talking to him. I'm glad I did this as a reminder. This is why I haven't talked to him. All right, bye.
Yeah.
And that'll be
That's
more
more
with
likely.
that. Yeah.
No, I don't. That's one thing that I'm very happy about, teaching myself as my own father, is not doing shit for other people. Like if I don't like it, I don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you just need that reassurance right now, and I don't think that's a bad idea. Like it's like, touch base just so you can be like, oh shit, yeah, all right, this I remember now. This sucks, and then that's it, and then you'll feel good about it.
Do you remember that time? I think we were in the 5th or 6th grade when we were walking home.
And what?
I don't know if you remember.
No, wait. What? You just walking home from the 5th and 6th grade, dude? That's like every
Come
day
on,
that
dude.
year.
It's a very clear image.
That was like Monday through Friday for 2 years. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, it stayed in my head because I was so embarrassed. Like, We were walking home from school. I think it was 5th grade or 6th grade, and we ran into him on the street. He honked,
Yeah.
and he picked us up, and he was gonna drive you to your house, and he left you on the boulevard, and he kind of stopped, and you didn't get out. There was still like 3 more blocks to go,
I remember a little bit about that.
and it's not like it's a giant boulevard. It's a tiny town, but still,
Yeah.
like he wouldn't go the extra 3 streets, and you like didn't go, and you're like, and then he's like, "Oh, you wanted me to take you all the way to your door." It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, you picked us up, man. We were on the street. We were happy.
Like you just made it like no, it's just weird and
Yeah.
inconvenient almost. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I remember a little bit. I remember that we bumped into him and he picked us up. I don't remember that part too much. But I probably was just like, all right, Pedro's weird dad. Just yeah. Nah, I should talk to him.
But you fixed your shit, right? Or was it just a momentary fix?
No. Yeah, yeah, no. Actually, it's gotten a lot better, man. Like for my parents, that when they got a divorce, and I think it was really helpful for both of them for sure. And like my dad, he got the land next to the house, and he built like a studio apartment there. And I don't know, man. I think it's been helpful because he benefited from that, and he kind of just like let go of shit, and he just seems, at least obviously it helps the distance, and I don't really see him like how often do I see him? I see him like, once a year, but like I don't know, like we've had like these last 2 years, it's been basically the last year and a half, I guess. We've just had some real conversations, where I kind of was just seeing him as a dude, like just as a guy, and I asked him some stuff about like how it was, growing up with him, and like, and like why did he do certain things in a certain way, why did he do those things? I also like asked stuff like why didn't he ever leave? Like he, the house was super stressful. Like, the him and my mom, were terrible. Together, and it's like I don't know, because it dawned on me, like I was like, he never left though. Like why didn't he leave? Like why was he there? Like why was he okay with that kind of living? And just to talk to him like that and hear his stuff, and without any judgment, and just kind of hearing him as a guy, like it helped, it helped me to see him, like I do believe that kind of he was trying to do the best he could, but not knowing what to do, and with his own issues, dealing with his own issues that he won't know how to deal with, and obviously doing fucked up stuff, he was no saint. But I get it. He's still not my most favorite person in the world, but it's like I'm able to at least let go of the things that annoyed me about him, and kind of I can understand. I'm like, yeah, like he did the best he could, he just didn't know what he was doing, and now it doesn't bother me, and he's not pissing me off right now, like he's not telling me shit that annoys me. He's not bothering anybody really, like in any direct way. And so all right, it's okay. So then, I look forward now to go home and spend some time with him to talk. And there's also obviously that part of like, well, I feel like I have to, right? Like it's also feels bad to not see him because I know he'll feel sad, and there is that little bit of guilt, but I do feel, what I tell myself is like, it's the least I can do, and it's not terrible. I have enjoyed, talking to him now more and learning stuff about him. Um, but I mean, and like how I feel like, but at least with him in my situation, it's like, well, you know what, but he never left, right? He was always there. He wasn't emotionally available, right? But like he was there and he always provided, like I can't say I went without, like he was always working his ass off. And like, he got me my first guitar, he got me, plenty of video games and stuff like that. Obviously my mom helped with all of that. I know it's not just I know it's not like him out of the kindness of his own heart, but he did provide. He provided all the money for all that stuff, and I'm like, I'm appreciative of that, at least now. I'm like, you know what? I had clothes, fed, and entertained. All right, I can at least reciprocate with that kind of respect, because he never abandoned, he never left us, he never just left my mom to fend for us, by herself or anything at all. It's just like, all right, cool.
Do you recognize parts of him in you, or?
Um, yeah, I think a few things for sure. Well, and I think and there's things I recognize in him from a long time ago that are me, but like the good, the good things about him, because to be honest, like my dad, um, if you get a chance to hang out with my dad, like in a social setting, my dad's fun. Like my dad he's funny. Like my dad can be very funny and can be very sociable, and I feel like, oh, I got that from my dad. I know I'm much more outgoing. And I know, like, in social settings I can be sociable, and make fucking jokes and shit, and I know I got that from him. That's how he is, and and he loves to cook and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, he like really loves food and shit. Like, well, he's fat, no, so he loves food too much. But like I got that from him too. So there's those things. In terms of the negative things, I guess I don't know. Like, um, I don't know. I think maybe some of my stubbornness probably comes from him too. Like.
Right. I get the thing where I get annoyed when I recognize parts of him in me because I've never seen him as a good role model.
Right.
And what sucks is that when there's parts of me that I like, which are things that I hate in him. That's very confusing.
Like what things do you recognize that you guys share?
Like the scatterbrain.
Well, he's a dick, right? So you're both dicks.
Like things that I had never paid attention to before, but this idea of wanting to build things from scratch and being able to waste so much time obsessing about something. I remember I used to get angry at him, be like, why are you doing this shit? The amount of money that you're spending on doing this, you could be doing it in a different way and saving money. But for example, he built his own office. I don't know if you remember that in Playas. Like sometimes I would go there to help,
Yeah.
like from scratch, like from the floor, built the fucking building.
God damn.
Like electricity and plumbing, and this was before YouTube, and he would go to Home Depot on the weekends and like ask the Home Depot guys like, how do you do this? And they would like give him some tutorial, and he would go over and do that. And I would be so annoyed at
That
that.
sounds like something you would do.
That's what I do right now, man. And I love that about
Yeah.
myself because I like I feel like that makes me invincible because it makes me feel like that's why I applied to the tech company, because I know that even if I don't have a diploma for something, I've done so many different unrelated weird shit that I trust myself to be able to learn almost anything. Not, of course, there's limits and time and all that,
Right.
but
Right.
I trust myself, like, and
But
I have a
yeah.
lot of confidence in that, and that's what you get from that. So, like, I built our kitchen table. It's fucking wobbly. It's beautiful, but very wobbly. But then after that, I built the bookshelf, and there wasn't like an extra screw or anything, like down to like and I cut it using cigarette cartons to measure, like really DIY, and it worked perfectly. Things like that. But those are the things that I still remember being annoyed by about him.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's different, no?
I don't know
Like,
why I can't appreciate that in him.
well, because he did it at the expense of being a dad, no? That's the different part. Like, you're doing it, it's not really necessarily at the expense of anything other than your time, and that's it. But like, I feel you didn't like that he did that because he wasn't paying attention to you, and your home and your family, because he was just He preferred those projects.
They were divorced, but it was the money. They were divorced, but it was the idea of him never having money because he was doing shit. Like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Because he wasn't really like providing, no, like for you and your family. That was your mom.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's shitty, and that's different, So like you won't do that, and so that's a good thing, Like yeah, he has these good qualities that he used them in the wrong setting.
That's so easy, and I feel so stupid that I never put it that way. Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
You just took a giant load off of my. Whew. Thank you.
There you go.
It's been like a year that I've been carrying that shit. Why
I've been telling you, we gotta talk, we gotta catch up, but you're like, hey, your photographs and no this and.
Dude, my fucking cat's dick.
Don't put my cat into this. Love him. Cool.
All right, so these are the titles. Well, there's no titles, but these are the things we've talked about. We've talked about Ritalin. We talked about writing. We talked about amphetamines, therapy, cat pee, PhDs.
Yeah, work-life balance. Yeah.
New York and Paris.
Right.
Yeah, the work, free time, and dads.
Dads.
Yeah.
Those are good themes.
Yeah, I can't come up with a good title. This is the first.
There's so much. And you're the writer, dude. you're the more creative guy here, so you do that. I'm thinking, I'm not good at naming shit.
Yeah, your cats are a good example.
Dude, my cats' names are fantastic. Esteban and Squirrel. They're fucking, I don't know what. Do you have any cats? Do you have pets?
No, we have a problem with gnats right now in my pepper plant. That's about it.
It's not at all the same, but it's okay. I'm glad we shared. Yeah. Anyway, Esteban's fucking cool as shit.
Which one's the one with the asshole face?
That's Esteban. No.
It's just one that looks like he's always judging you.
Yeah, that's Esteban. But he's a love bug. He's awesome. So name of the episode is
actually, given all this stuff and dads and all that, I like the idea of love bug. We have gnats, we have cats, and dads, and it rhymes: gnats, cats, and dads.
Done.
There it is. Fucking beautiful.
See, we just needed to riff a little bit more, and then that's it. Done.
Okay. Well, you want to sign us off? You remember the name of the show, right?
Jesus Christ, no, I don't remember at all. You look at my nose.
It's rule number 1.
Rich chocolatey goodness.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Rich Chocolatey Goodness is produced by ourselves, Benjamin Morse and Pedro Escobar. Very special thank you to this episode's guest, Miguel, who you can probably find on the internet yourself with very minimal effort. Marco Moreno made the music all by himself, and then Pedro selfishly added Stylophone and his name to the work. Photos, links, and account handles which we forgot to include in this episode can be found on Instagram and Facebook at Rich Chocolatey Goodness. Be sure to follow us to get all the Rich Chocolatey updates, and subscribe on iTunes or Spotify for brand new goodness delivered to you every other Sunday. And if you like what you heard, please leave a comment and rating. We read and respond to each and every one. We just can't help ourselves.